Hello, this is George Lees talking in my host's place. Yeah, my host has gone out for the afternoon, one hopes, and I may not get interrupted in the making of the video, but I'm going to tell you about the massive scams of false religion when it hits the UK, and it becomes the massive sectarianism that divides Ireland. And Ireland celebrates in its Protestant factions the fact that Ireland has been freed by William of fucking Orange. Yeah, the whole lot of them are so bimboish that they cannot see that the whole of the country has been disowned, but they are delighted to be rivals and to put down a thing called the Ribbonism movement, which is Catholicism. All of those religions are false, and watch how they celebrate. Okay, watch the guy with the baldy head and the Mohican haircut. Yeah, absolutely ballistic motions as they hate their neighbours. Yeah, and that is Jesus' biggest sin. Watch it. I dare not go close because it will. And his arm movements are the quatre bras jokes. That's his arms and legs are totally like the goose-stepping people in Austria involved in the joke about the Freemasons running all of this under the swastika icon through all of world history, and then they pretend that that becomes the Aryan Asian history. And I've got all the tabs. There he goes, watch him. That is the quatre bras joke. Yeah, that is the goose stepping joke in Hitler's Germany. Okay, I'm going to stop that now because the sound quality from there will be terrible. Okay, do you get it? Yeah, beating the drum, and what they are celebrating is William of Orange's glorious 12th, which is when he won the Battle of the Boyne. And guess what happens next? Scottish regiments returning from service in Ireland brought the first Orange Lodge to Scotland. This is under a tab for the town of Airdrie. Okay, Airdrie is right in the heart of the Central Belt, and when me and my host passed it in the car the other day, that's my chauffeur for the moment, to keep the secrets secret. Yeah, because none of this you're allowed to talk about. If you do, you get blown to bits in a car bomb, or you get kneecapped, or you get what they get in those ancient things, and they have massacres, Catholic versus Protestant, all through world history. And the dates on that are quite incredible. I'll show you them later down. So Scottish regiments returning from service in Ireland brought the first Orange Lodge to Scotland in 1798 with warrants granted. That's warrants in law, so that you can start to persecute the people under the wig, which has happened to me in the last month. Granted by the Grand Orange Lodge of Ireland. Yeah, the first, and this reveals further down the LOL joke, laugh out loud, which is the identifier for the corrupted lodges that run the world without any democratic input. It's the secret societies in Germany, in Ireland, and now in Scotland since 1798. The first civilian lodge was set up in Maybole. Do you get the dancing around the maypole joke now? In Rabbie Burns's Ayrshire in 1808, and a Grand Lodge was set up in Britain, which issued its own warrants, and its first Grand Master in 1821 was His Royal Highness the Duke of York and Albany. Ever so English sounding. That is the pretender joke, but these guys are not the pretenders. They use these tactics to take over the whole of Ireland, the whole of Wales, the whole of Scotland, and the whole of England, including Westminster, yeah, and Buckingham Palace. And it is the same people that were the only true lovers of Queen Victoria, because they are Masons and they arrange marriages like that. Yeah, this is the lineage of Hanover, yeah, and that was the butchers of Cumbria at Culloden. There is George III's second son, Grand Master Mason, Prince Frederick, Duke of York and Albany. Yeah, this is the English equivalents, yeah, of the claimants to the throne, and they're already in power. Yeah, since all the Jacobite rebellions and the Butcher of Cumbria, who lived in Berkhamsted, like my wife, yeah, and me, for quite a long time, yeah, and that is the Jeff Chaucer jokes for the Freemasons, that he is the clerk of works in that region. Okay, let's go down and show you the pictures before I tell you the horrific sectarian stories, and the stories about all of this being the founding of the swastika all those years ago. Okay, the second being, so this is the second Grand Master from the German lineages, the HRH, the first Duke of Cumberland and Teviotdale. You remember that name? That is the lovers, blind Prince George. That's on that tab. Yeah, this is his dad, Ernest. Let me remind you what he looks like. Very cheery chap. There he is. And because of the Salic Wars, Queen Victoria did not have enough. Women are not allowed to be queens in Germany, so they get these guys across. And blind Prince George, who so evilly gets blinded after he's made love to Queen Victoria and sired Marcus Manuel, the only legitimate child of that woman, and after she had borne that child and began to raise it on the Isle of Man, she then got married to another German who's Albert. So this is the dad of blind Prince George, and this is the man who was the Grand Master Mason, and this is the man who built Buckingham Palace in London, who was watching from the decks of the Cambridge ship the bombardment of the Germans and the Turks at Gallipoli as the leaders of the English regime. Yeah, that is George III's children. Ernest Augustus, King of Hanover, he lived from 1771 to 1851, so we're way beyond the massacres in Ireland and the massacres in Scotland for those stupid people that believe that the massive battles for the Duke of Orange, that is the support from Blenheim, they were gifted Blenheim Palace, the Churchills, for their role in empowering William and Mary and leading those vast battles all across Europe, which the Christians are not allowed to engage in because they love their neighbours. Oh, it's not going to play. Okay, so that is the dad, and do you get the Ernestine and Albertine jokes now for Eric and Ernie Wise? Yeah, that the Queen laughs at every Christmas Day in inverted commas, because that is the biggest fucking joke of the lot. Okay, I could show you a lot more. So there is, in 1824, laugh out loud David Cameron and Rebecca Brooks at the Levison inquiry. Yeah, that is the name of the lodge, number 19, established in Airdrie under the British Grand Lodge when the Grand Secretary Colonel Fairman with other gentlemen visited Airdrie. Yeah, and I think Airdrie is maybe the football ground that has the little lodge in the corner, right next to the corner flag. Yeah, and you can guess that it's going to be on the far right because of these characters. Yeah, and the ordinary working man is represented by the Ribbonism, but that sounds biased by me. They're all just as stupid as their neighbours, but all of the leaders in the regions drive them into this, and that is the relatively minor masters of every LOL lodge that exists across the world. And Ireland had it before Scotland became contaminated by it, and last night they were all fighting with each other in the pub. Yeah, and the sun's gone in because of the gravity of the issues that I'm profiling here. Okay, let me just read out the earliest places in Scotland to be contaminated by all of this. Okay, all LOLs, laughing out loud at world history and the massive massacres that the moralists that launch religions are able to engage in. Okay, so let me read this. It was quite stunning when I discovered it. When we passed Airdrie in the car the other day, there was a rainbow that ended in the town. Yeah, and my host said, yeah, that's Airdrie across there. And it's right on the Almond Valley for fascism. No, it's not. It's the Forth Valley for that one. And that is the legendary Cramond places that my MSP, Julian Callum Lamont, yeah, if he indeed is that person, he is registered in Cramond, or he was. He's changed it now. He's now registered with the Bucclews, which are the other tabs on that. The Bucclews are the Morton family, and I've made a video on Desmond Morton till I came to my safe house here. Yeah, and the Brodies are a massive scam. They have huge numbers of Ponzi schemes, and my friends who are fighting, yeah, in the movement to get another referendum and to get the land freed for the people around the Scottish Parliament building, they were persecuted in court by the other day by a lady who is Lady Dorian. She gets 250,000 a year as of 2015. I don't know what she gets now, and she is the second highest law enforcer in Scotland, and she is listening to Brodies attacking the SNP activists. But the SNP activists have the swastika icons all over their camp. That includes the Saltire flag for Scotland, and they're too stupid or too brazen to realise that someone within their movement now is able to find that that woman who's on the court of session and leading it, persecuting them this very week. I attended it. It was deadly boring, but she is interlocked to Brodies, the people that are persecuting and prosecuting legally my mates in that indie camp movement. Yeah, and all of them are just buffoons. They had Jesus in the courtroom, 2 Jesuses representatives in the courtroom the other day, and all of it is to make a mockery of any form of realistic protest. That's how the Badger Cull intervenes, and all the fracking jokes. Yeah, they take massive care of those issues, but if you're in the lodge, or if you're bound to one of those religions, and you have the hatred of your neighbours since everything happened all those centuries back, it's a master plan for King Charles, Prince Charles, who is the Lord of the Isles and is related to the Kennedys of JFK's murder. Yeah, that is secretly covered up. I'm going to show you that first, just in case I don't get round to it. So that is, the Kennedys are the Marquises of Ailsa, and that is the crag on the west coast of Burns country, right next to the massive golf courses that are used for the Open Championships. And there is the declaration in the external links on Clan Kennedy, the origin of the Irish Kennedy, Kennedy Society of North America, more history of the Kennedy clan and its links to the royal family. That is the elite bloodline that I keep telling you about. That is its links to the royal family. It's too small to see. And the Kennedy surname, one name study, Kennedy heraldry. So when I click on the link to more history of the Kennedy clan and its links to the royal family, that's what you get. Page not found. Totally ashamed of themselves. And let me just get out of the way where that is. I'll show you Ailsa Craig. Okay, it's right on the west coast, right upriver and out beyond the Dumbarton treason. And guess who the Kennedys are? They are the Hesse Cassels. The title of Kennedy, 12th Earl of Cassels, is Cassels, pronounced Hesse Cassel, the first employers for the Rothschilds family, which is why I have used azure blue. Do you get it? All of those 13 to 30 or so mafia families still rule the world, and John F. Kennedy wanted to free the world, so they topped him as their close relative, and with his affiliation to Catholicism, which made my mother cry for longer than I've ever seen her cry. And the gods in the heavens that night in 1963, when we had the wildest winter I've ever encountered, they had a massive lightning storm, even in my hometown of Kelso, which I'm now exiled from for telling these truths as a former altar boy. Do you get the Hesse Cassel joke? Yeah, the first, that is Prince William of Hesse Cassel, who first employed the Rothschilds. And that is the Marquis of Ailsa, who is the Barons Kennedy, and that is the Barons Kennedy who go everywhere from Southwark to Washington to the little knoll, the grassy knoll in Boston, where that man's brains were blown out on camera. Yeah, and the man who won the prize got $50,000 for being on the scene at the right time when law enforcement, which is actually per Mindex, blew his head off his shoulders. And his wife is an intel woman, which is why she joins Winston Churchill, who had him killed by per Mindex, yeah, in the laundering with her next husband, Onassis. And the third member of that money stream was Prince Philip. You might have heard of him in a royal context. Okay, so let's now show you Ribbonism. Okay, do you get the magnitude of what I've just told you? That's the LOL jokes that were on the front of the newspapers when I first returned from New Zealand, as the corrupted Leveson inquiry kicks in and all of law enforcement is giving the secrets to Rebecca Brooks, who makes the LOL joke, and all of them who are in the news get remunerated for the invasion of their privacy, and all of them are the residues of these mafias, which is why you cannot open the links of Kennedy to the Queen and the bloodlines issues. Ribbonism. Okay, this is the Catholics. Was a 19th century popular movement of poor Catholics in Ireland. It was active against landlords and their agents. That is because the Orange Order, yeah, particularly in Ulster, where the Queen has her residence, called Hillsborough, which is the sectarian football violence that killed all of those people in the premeditated crush injury joke, yeah, that is shared by the ambulance services who were the launderers in World War I and World War II. Yeah, out of Switzerland, strictly neutral, yeah, and interlocks with every one of the royal princes and the Jewish funders every which way up ever since. Okay, the Ribbon Society was principally an Aryan, an agrarian. Yeah, do you get the joke about that? That is God regulating the farming trends and giving you good growing seasons and bad growing seasons. It's the joke about all of the damming projects that take it away. Yeah, and it's the Aryan joke for Archbishop O'Brien, who is still at liberty on the Lothian coast somewhere. Yeah, right next to where my family live, and right next to where the Balfours were when they partitioned Israel. Yeah, an Aryan secret society whose members consisted of rural Irish Catholics. Do you get it? Jesus never lived. They're fighting with themselves for the ownership of the countries under those rules that mean that all of those rules are broken, and this lot are not nearly as heavily armed as the Orangemen. The society was formed in response to the miserable conditions in which the vast majority of tenant farmers. So this is the joke about potato famines and things, and we have Scottish potato famines further down that list. Okay, it's all a massive set of wealth divide projects, and it is now culminated in the stealing of every central bank on the globe. I bore you with that in every video, and I failed to point out that this could well be the smoking room. Yeah, those are cigarette lighters and cigar lighters for Rothschild, and that is azure blue for Rothschild. Okay, and all of it has the connotations, and their marks are all over this further down. Okay, do you get the Rothschilds siring all of Queen Victoria's other babies after the Masonic leaders from Germany and Hanover have come in and been wedded to her at age 12 to 14, yeah, depending on which version you listen to, and they are Blind Prince George of Cumbria and Teviotdale, under the leading Masons, or the children of the leading Masons, when they launched all of the Irish Terror. Okay, so the ribbon men also attacked tithe and process servers, and later evolved the policy of tenants' rights. The existence of ribbon men was recorded as early as 1817. You see what they're celebrating with the ribbons there. Yeah, do you get it? Everything is linked to the same projects for the same reasons, and that is the issuance of money all over the globe, and that is the Bank of England already gone into Rothschild hands. The name is derived from a green ribbon worn as a badge in a buttonhole by the members. Do you get it? It takes you all the way back to the Ottoman Empire and all of the sporting battles in the Colosseum, but in the place that is Constantinople. Yeah, and that is the place that is going to spark World War III, if we have one, and the candidates to be in the American election have their way. Okay, so the Greens versus the Blues, and David Murray is a massive crook. I've got all his links to Julian Callum Lamont, and the biggest boardrooms that I've ever seen in my life, with the exception of Michael Grade's. And some of them are on Michael Grade's boardrooms too. Okay, and they run, so I think you get the issue. So this is the white boys. That is an icon for death in the Bible. Yeah, the white horse in the Bible in Revelations. They are in certain organisations of radicals in England, and those are the stories I've told you about Chipping Norton and the places nearby, Stow-on-the-Wold, being battle scenes in the sectarian Orange Wars, yeah, where the kings were being beheaded, yeah, because they were affiliated to Catholicism, and the Parliament was strictly Protestant. Yeah, and up here in Scotland we have the Knox issues, and that is the beheading of Queen Mary and the draining of the lake at Loch Leven to look for evidence of the keys, and that is the Cross Keys joke. That is every one of those hotel chains that host the secrets, every one of them has an oak room to commemorate the culling of the pagans in world history. That's Thor's oak and the displacement of the real gods in the heavens from the religious story. Yeah, the radical wars here are legendary. Kenny McCaskill even talked about that in the political meeting last week. Yeah, he's pretending now that he's no longer a politician. Yeah, and I've got his director numbers again. I found them yesterday. Keep your head down, Kenny. Okay, so let's go down a little bit. Untitled page, I'm not sure what that is. Oh, I think I was gonna... Oh, the swastika tabs have not come up. Oh, the bastards. The swastika tabs have not come up. Yeah. The last things that I put in there, and so the swastika was used right up to the late 1930s as the global Masonic icon. It's the icon for the Scouts. It's the icon, yeah, all of my hometown members. That's an organisation that I belong to. It's an icon for the man who writes all of the stories about the empire in India, and that is, I keep forgetting his name. Legendary character, wrote all of the legends about the elephants and the menagerie of animals out there. I keep wanting to say Turpin, but it is... no, I can't remember. Okay, so that is a massive... so they pretended that there was something wrong with the software, and the last two tabs that I uploaded have not uploaded at all, and this machine, so I do not get hum, is not connected to the internet. I think I'm going to open the curtains just a little bit. So, no, maybe not. it would reveal our location. I'm not allowed to do that. I'm in a safe house because I'm a political activist, and the governments at both sides of the border, and my wife, Mrs. Valerie Jane Lees, are in breach of Article 8 of the Human Rights Act on that issue. I have no postal address, no access to my financial affairs, any of my pensions that they have stripped from me, and all of it is, that's the shirt that they have taken off my back, and I use it to clean my computers in the preparation of these videos. Okay, so the untitled pages, I'm not sure what that was before. Maypole. Okay, Maypole has middle-age roots. It received a charter from Donach, Earl of Carrick, in 1193. This is where the first lodge was set up in Scotland, with the exception of that Airdrie issue. In 1516 it was made a borough of regality, although for generations it remained under the suzerainty of the Kennedys. Afterwards the Earls of Cassels, Hesse Cassel. Sick linkages to the master race from Germany, which is the master race who used the swastika as the icon for the Quatre Bras in Brussels, and that is the Battle of Quatre Bras just before Waterloo, and that is the four limbs of the windmill, and it's the four limbs of the masons and the tumblers all over the world. The Marquis of Ailsa, the most powerful family, is the Kennedys. In Ayrshire they're the most powerful family. Okay, so do you get it? That's the Kennedys that are the first customers for Rothschild globally. And the Maypole is the joke about killing the pagans, and dancing around, and all of the solstices. And in these jokes, if you look at all of my tabs carefully, it tells you that to get the Battle of the Boulogne, or the Battle of the Boyne, which is the takeover by the Protestants of most of Ireland, or all of Ulster, they have got, I forgot what I was going to tell you there, so that is the Battle of the Boyne. And do you remember the jokes about all of the Boyne issues, and the Boyds being the links to the clans, the Bowie tribes that came out of the Alpine regions and were the David Bowie and the elite master races through all of world history. So the two things that you've got on that swastika page, there are dozens of things, that all of the icons have been taken down that I was going to show you. I will have to make another video on that if they allow me to upload it. That's Bill Gates' software that I used to make sure that this lot were all going to be exposed, and the icons that they used for Hitler Rothschild, who was born to Gelly Rabal and the Rothschild parents in Innsbruck. It's a massive set of running jokes, and all of the people that become the Dukes of Buccleuch and are in the region that I'm in now as the Mortons, they are the Douglas lineages, and their massive affiliations to the Piso Horsey Brigade. And all across western Edinburgh they have estates and places where I used to live as a student in Edinburgh, and all of them are places of residence for the fabulous Rothschild mansions that have now been wrecked and knocked over. In case anybody realises that, that is Babberton, and all of the Babby jokes about Babington and all of the people that were in my hometown of Kelso that owned the estate of Pinnacle Hill, all the way from Murrayfield right out to the airport and to the place that is the agricultural, agrarian master race joke again, that is, I forget what they call it. There's a massive agricultural fair there every year, and it's a joke about the Ingolston. Ing is the place, or is the person, who's the legend in Scandinavia for culling the pagans under Thor's oak trees. Yeah, and the Nazis have the oak icon on their uniform lapel, and that is one of the tabs, but it may have oh no, oak Kennedy Nazi. So let me just find you the Ailsa Craig golf course affiliations to Rabbie Burns, and oh, we don't have that either. Oh my god. Oh, it'll be on the Marquis of Ailsa tab. Okay, so this is now West Coast Scotland. It's the Paisley Cluniac joke. Yeah, as Abbot of Paisley, with Lithgow being provided as Abbot of Crossraguel, but after an investigation by Bishop Andy Murray, acting for Avignon, Pope Benedict XIII seems to have been deemed unsuitable, and the provisions went the other way. This is the carving up of all the 100-acre land grabs, and Paisley is Ian Paisley in the sectarian violence. Okay, let's see. So the Abbot of Crossraguel, this is the King David stories about Maybole being partitioned, and King David is the man who carves it up. Okay, and this is the same tab. Sorry, no, that's the declaration that the lodges are launched. There's Maybole right across on the Dunbarton treason shores of the River Clyde. That's the treason for the Lennoxes, and it's the treason for several other clans, all of those that are depicted as traitors in the Braveheart movie. Okay, and Maybole is west, way out west, and it is Ayr, Carrick and Cumnock, and that for me is the Carrick Fergus in Ireland obfuscation tool. Can you see how all of the fascist movements and all of the secret societies come together and they share the same jokes? And that is the Bruces of Ireland and Carrick Fergus too. Yes, and the Doon Valley, all of that is in the legends of Brigadoon, and a place that does not really exist. Yeah, can you see how they obfuscate it? It's ever so clever. And Maybole is May Bog Hall. Yeah, that's the bog. That's confirmation that the gods plaster them with rainstorms. It is a borough of Barony and police borough of the South Ayrshire, Scotland. So do you see that the whole of the carve up of Police Scotland is now carving up what they have been laughing at in the lodge for hundreds of years already? Okay, there's St Cuthbert's. Yeah, we've got one of those too. All of them claim that St Cuthbert's was in their administration, and St Cuthbert's books are now worth millions and millions of pounds at Durham Cathedral, where Professor Murray is the head of theology. Yeah, and he totally refused to engage in my dialogue because Justin Welby had just left as the Bishop of Durham. Yeah, and he's now the corrupted leader of the Elf Energy Oil Companies, and he is the son of Winston Churchill's private secretary. In 1516 it was made a borough of regality, although for generations it remained under the Kennedys as the Marquesses of Ailsa. And I cannot see a picture of Ailsa Craig. New housing on the old St Cuthbert's shoe factory. That's the son of a shoemaker joke. Yeah, that is Schumacher on the Alps, yeah, with the head injury. That is the shoemaker that is Pinocchio, Jesus in fact, the boy with no strings. Yeah, so Kirk Oswald is right next to where Robert Burns spent his 17th year learning land surveying, yeah, and all of the land grabs. Yeah, and the place that is in the halfway between Glasgow and Edinburgh that we discovered, and we had a massive rainstorm as we passed that by. That is the first place where they have the inns, and they change the horses on the carriages, and they take you into those inns, and they're run by intel people who are the snitches who are depicted already in the second version of Robin Hood, coming back from the Holy Lands and having escaped from his relative who was the boss in Austria, Leopold of Austria. That is all a crock of shit. Look, further south are the ruins of Turnberry, the golf course, where Robert the Bruce is said to have been born. Yeah, and his heart is in the place, and Sanderson of Bowden is one of the founders of the lodge in Airdrie. It does not say of Bowden, but the Sandersons are right up at the head of this, and that is the Walter Scott Society in Edinburgh. That is all of the profit-taking organisations, as Sanderson of Bowden, yeah, launches with Alasdair Hutton, yeah, who's the boss in the Borders Council. All of them drink in the same private vents, and all of those private vents are in the black and millions of pounds richer. All of the councils that they run are in the debt pool, and that is not an accident, nor is the shoe factory joke for the Warner brothers in the Jumanji film, yeah, and all of the jokes about Pinocchio being the son of a shoemaker. And that is the Schulers that are the friends and interlocking Dutch families with the mafias that are the Roosevelts, yeah, and the dozens of others, the pharmaceutical companies out of Holland. Okay, so Maybole Castle, the cross bears the coats of arms of the Kennedy family of Hesse-Kassel, Casselis, yeah, and has a rare moon dial on one face. Yeah, that's a rare moon. Yeah, that is the Turkish icon for World War I, World War II, and very soon, if Hillary and Donald have their way, for World War III. Okay, so let me show you the Paisley Cluniacs thing. This is about King David actually coming in and carving up, and this is the same king that carved up the Borders region, and I believe that he was very seldom in Scotland, and that is the joke about no one in Scotland ever being anything other than the pretender. But you can see the the Kennedys for a time were doing well, yeah, before one of their innocent little big brothers became so outspoken. Okay, so we will not do the ancient carve-ups, but that's the picking of Pope Benedict, because Pope Benedict is involved in those massive, that's the schism for Avignon, in contention with Rome and in contention with Czechoslovakia, when there were 3 popes on this earth, and Benedict was the name of the pope in World War I, which is why Benedict was picked again when I came back and I chased him out of office by declaring that he works with George W. Bush's children, the Jews and the Islamic leaders on the rewriting of everything that they have made errors in that I have now published on my website. Yeah, that is the Institute for Interreligious Studies that allowed the Pope to resign to the Alba Lake. That is the Albany joke for the pretenders to the seat or the throne or the mitre, which is a massive religious joke. Okay, so Clan Kennedy, we might see Ailsa Craig this time. No, you see their fish is their icon. Okay, and the belt being pulled in for the ordinary working people is also their icon. A dolphin, Naya proper. This is the Dauphin jokes, and the dolphins being the ghosts of their murdered victims. So do you get it? Maculraig, Kennedyk, surname, Kennedyk clan Ik Ulrig, and that is the Ulrich, Uri jokes in Frankfurt. Yeah, and that is the jokes about sleeping with the fishes, and Yuri, and all of those people that are the comedians taking people out in the boat. So it's in Ayrshire. The plant badge is the oak on the end of every one of those Christian crosses. Do you get it? That is the execution of Charles I, with the oak thing popping off the top of his walking stick. Yeah, you may not be able to see it, but those are crosses with crosses on the end, and that is the acorn symbol on the end of the cross, which does for every pagan on our world, starting near Frankfurt, where the Rothschilds and the Hesse Cassels come from. Yeah, the Most Honourable David Kennedy, the 9th Marquis of Ailsa. Seat, Hesse Cassel House. Historic seats at Dunure Castle and Culzean Castle. You should see that. It's a massive, massive pile. Okay? And I cannot see Ailsa Craig. Cunida, this is the linguistics that come out, and they mean ugly, and that is the jokes about the grim-headed, but ugly is tied into the man from Uncle joke, and that is the Morton tab that I have there. Yeah, they have it. We've got another one. Let me show you the Morton man. Yeah, this is the region I'm now living in. He owns the massive golf course that is Dalmahoy, and there is the 21st Earl, and the people in my town that are involved with Minto Crag and the massive Kinnamont families that rule as the Governor-Generals all over the British Empire. There's the McCorkadale name coming in again. John Charles Sholto is the name, and Douglas is the name for the Black Douglases and the legendary Black Douglases of Dalkeith. Yeah, the Dukes of Haddington, the Dukes of Buccleuch, yeah, and all of them are all over the world now. They've got holdings in Norfolk, and it's just fucking huge. So this one died this year, 5th of March. His wife's still alive, and his son is also got the name Sholto in it. None of the locals can tell me what that means. They've never heard of it before. Yeah, and he is on the business register, and they've got people in the town that are related to, they call themselves Paraffin Young, and they have a boarding house. It's actually the manse. It's the poshest place in the town, apart from the Earl of Morton's place, a few miles away at Dalmahoy. Yeah, and they run the golf course. Yeah, so do you see the Turnberry, Dalmahoy, St Andrews cabal that are all in the same bloodlines? That's Donald Trump, who owns the hotel at St Andrews. Yeah, and he owns 2 other golf courses in Scotland, and he runs the massive Ponzi schemes that I've told you about. Okay, and they've got holdings in Fife. And when my sister was talking to me, that's my youngest one, she and her husband took us to that estate in Aberdour, where this family rule the roost. Okay, that's on the north side of the Firth of Forth. Yeah, and very, very close to Dunfermline, where there's another massive cathedral, and very, very close to Lochleven, where Queen Mary was the victim of all of the sectarian violence and got her head lopped off. Yeah, as the pretender to the Stuart throne, and all of the English people, yeah, are able to manipulate that and to get people like Longshanks in the Ragman Rolls jokes and the Treaty of Bergam jokes, to pick the kings, yeah, that become English kings from the fucking Yorkshire region. Yeah, that is the Balliol treason, and it is all a massive scandal. Okay, let me show you the guy with the eye patch. And this time it's his right eye. Oh, have I forgotten to... There's Dalmahoy Hotel and Country Club, right next door to Pomfourston, the Scottish country dancing joke for my hometown people. Yeah, and they've had horrible pathologies for years and years and years, but they're also members of the fishing club that has been stolen from them by the Douglas Home families that are on the River Tweed cabal with that man Sanderson of Bowden, and that is Alec Douglas Home, who carpet bombed the Garden of Eden, yeah, in the Suez Crisis. Okay, and that is Eden in the Bible, and this guy has got his eye patch on the right side as if he might be a revolutionary, but I very much doubt it. He is a polo magnate. James Douglas, Lady Mary Douglas, and his colours are absolutely stunning. It's purple. Yeah, and there's the old mansion house that the current relatives, his children, this is 21st Earl. I don't know, I made a point of, oh, Sholto, B Fuel Wise, so he's his on the B Fuel Wise Great Britain directorates. That's not a great crime, but it will be probably a virtual oil product. Okay, but I cannot find the picture with the eye patch. Oh, there it is. Isn't he lovely? Purple and green for the Douglases. Yeah, they've got red Douglases, they've got black Douglases, and the Mortons are the actual Batman for Winston Churchill in World War II, and that is Operation Winnie the Pooh, and Desmond Morton is Uncle Desmond Morton, who is the leading spying person under the thrall of Sir Ian Fleming, with the cigarette holder and the British American tobacco Batman joke, yeah, as he sucks in the nicotine. Yeah, so this one, oh sorry, he's got his left eye covered. Yeah, he only sees from his right eye. I got that wrong. Yeah, do you get it? And he is, if we go further down, you'll see that he's the Pizzo elite. That's his wife, lovely looking person. Yeah, and that is not a walking stick, that is her polo joke. Okay, there he is, active with the Edinburgh Polo Club, all the way into West Edinburgh, right into the Baberburn and the Babington regions, yeah, and right into Fred Goodwin's Royal Bank of Scotland massive hub at the asylum that was, I forget what it's called, right on the outskirts of Edinburgh, right next to my uncle Gilbert, yeah, the Church of Scotland profiteers who are married to the Hopes of South Africa. Yeah. And it's just absolutely sickening, all of them. Yeah, all of them. When I was a professor, they used to suck up, used to get bottles of malt whiskey all the time. But then when I find the truth about even the Scouts and the Guides organisations that they run, and they work for Edinburgh City Council, they get all of their travel free on the bus passes, and all of their grandchildren and young relatives have to pay for those same bus tickets. It's absolutely corrupted. So this one was born Sholto Douglas. Yeah, do you get the links to the Douglases of the Borders and of Dalkeith and the massive Christian institutions that every one of the younger brothers gets established as the bishop of, all over our country, from Arundel right up to the north coast at Wick, where the Queen Mum has a massive ugly palace. Yeah, that is the now dead Queen Mum, who was not actually a royal at all. She replaced the one who fled to Denmark, and she was the maid from downstairs. And that's why she liked to drink gin and have a bet at the racecourse, because she was living a fabulous lifestyle as a commoner, like Kate now is. So, but the Mortons are relatively innocent, I think. But when you see that that is also Douglas Home, and they are direct relatives, everything that is private fishery, everything that is a private shoot, everything that is an expensive golf course, it's sucked up and owned by all of those landowning magnates. Yeah, and one of them interlocks with Jeff Boycott's money launderer. I can't remember that story, but there's Yom Tov. So Yom Tov Eliezer Jacobs is the money launderer for one of the companies that these people in this tiny little village, yeah, and in rural Midlothian are running. Yeah. So I'm getting a little bit off the track on Airdrie and the lodges. I want you to now realise that the Kennedys are in it right up. So Gilbert Mac Kennedy witnessed a charter to Melrose Abbey granting lands in Carrick. Yeah, that is not Carrickfergus in Ireland, it's fucking Ailsa Craig. During the reign of Alexander II of Scotland, Gillespie Kennedy is named in charters as the Seneschal of Carrick. There is 15th and 16th century Robert the Bruce, during the Wars of Independence, was supporting the Earl of Carrick. And he rewarded John Kennedy of Dunure as his chief of his name and Bailey of Carrick. And there's the Ulrich, and that takes you right up the azure blue river that is the Am Main joke in Frankfurt. Yeah, and Cassilis House, Scottish Lowlands, seat of the chiefs of Clan Kennedy. Yeah, Hesse Cassel. That is the place where my uncle Gilbert ran Park's Bus Company, that's his family, which was second only to Anne Gloag's massive, richest ever Scottish bus company. Yeah, and they started that bus company from their dad's redundancy money at the SMT, yeah, which used to be in my hometown. So do you get the magnitude of the interlocks of the world owners, yeah, and their capacity to take out their innocent family members for trying to share their country and their central bank with its people. Yeah, and that's post-war. That is the man who tried to loose all of the collateral gold that had been stolen in the ambulances or through World War II. Cassilis House near Maybole, Culzean Castle. Yeah, do you get it? The launch of Freemasonry by the people that are the slaves to the Rothschilds in Frankfurt and get the first contract from Prince William. Yeah, and then the Rothschilds move in, and Prince William is illegitimate like all of the other people because he is the son of King Juan Carlos in Spain. Right, so Maybole Castle and all the Kennedy references, but you cannot find the references. So, and they've got estates all over the country. There's the Bishop of Dunkeld. I'm telling you about the wee brothers. James Kennedy. He served as High Chancellor of Scotland and was Bishop of Dunkeld. That is Dunkeld in Perth. Yeah, and all of it, I've visited there, the massive religious institutions, and later Archbishop of St Andrews. At St Andrews he founded St Salvator's College in 1455 and is considered one of the founders of the University of St Andrews, right next to Donald Trump's hotel, right next to the course for the Open. Yeah, and where the Queen's babies were sent to university to learn to steal and kill in the British militias. Okay, and here's the oak joke for the Nazis. Thor's Oak is right outside Frankfurt. Yeah, that's the jokes about the Grimm Brothers film and the death of the actor in that Grimm Brothers movie. Heath Ledger was the name. Yeah, and there are foliage and acorns of Quercus robur from, and that is the oak joke. Oak Kennedy, Nazi Christian icon, Thor's target and toxic. Yet the contents of oak, like the contents of almond, I believe they have cyanide in them as an active principle. Yeah, and the oak is a tree or a shrub in the genus Quercus of the beech family. So do you get it? The oak tree and the beech jokes in P.G. Wodehouse's output are about the same thing. That is the killing place for every witch and every pagan across the false Christianity world. It's the whole world now, and every one of the indigenous races have had their bloodlines totally penetrated and bastardized by the incoming G20 countries and the English-speaking tyrants that run every war, every country, every sectarian issue, yeah, and they will be launching World War III if Hillary and Donald have their way. Obama is in the same camp. Okay, so that's the natural history of oaks, and I was hoping that we would have some pictures of Thor's oak and the killing of the pagans. Remember that Thor's oak was miraculously replaced on the same day that they cut it down. They found inside its external bark, they found the Christmas tree for the Pi Piso Christianity joke. Yeah, and that is the bishop of I think it was Cornwall or way down in the West Country in England. Yeah, and all of it is false news and totally corrupted. So there's not any highlighting there. And here is the Carrick, Scotland region. And at last we find Ailsa Craig. Do you get it? That is Carrick Fergus with the Irish singer. This is Kennedy with his Irish roots, and Joseph Kennedy, who was the dad of the president, and the two other brothers that got involved in sexual scandals, and some of them were murdered too. All of that, Joseph Kennedy was a bootlegger like Conrad Black's family, and Conrad Black's biggest secret is that he is the Conradian that launched all of the campaigns in the Holy Wars in the Crusades. Yeah, and on and on they go, and all of them become the news magnets. Okay, so what have we got here? The district of Carrick was originally part of the Kingdom of Galloway. This is the world-owning Galloway bloodlines that are Utrecht, and all of the people below Longshanks on the world-owning family tree that have had a time shift. Yeah, and Longshanks' daughter is the only one that means that I cannot continue continuously to get the dates for all of the people that are picked to be the fathers and mothers of all of the world-owning bloodlines, right into George W. Bush's regime, right into FDR's regime, and every president on Rushmore, and right into the Bourbon dynasty in the massive palace in Paris. Yeah, who are related to the owners of Ednam House in my hometown. Yeah, that is the Brooks families, that are the Brookdales, and they are the husbands of Hannah Mary Rothschild. Carrick saw some involvement in the Scottish Wars of Independence under Robert the Bruce, which culminated in his victory over the English at Bannockburn. Yeah, fighting for a loaf of bread. Yeah, same as the Catholics in the potato famines in Ireland. The title Eric of Carrick is now one of the lesser Scottish titles of the heir apparent to the throne, currently Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales. Yeah, the Duke of Rothesay. Yeah, he's the Prince of the Isles. He is a massive fraudster. He's totally incompetent. Yeah, totally embroiled in the murder of his first wife. Yeah, and all of it is absolutely ruthless. And he is best friends of the chief rabbi. Yeah, and that is all of the things that I used to lobby into since 2010. The chief rabbi was replaced, and you should see the jokes that Prince Charles and he have in the YouTube video on his retirement. They steal from every one of their followers, yeah, and they launch all of the sectarian violence. And there is Maybole, that is the maypole joke for the witches, was the historic capital of Carrick, which is Ailsa Craig and Turnberry Golf Course. I have not yet looked at who owns Turnberry Golf Course. Yeah, that's the Kennedys' heartland. Not many people know that, because they have now taken down the family tree that they declare in Clan Kennedy that you're allowed to visit. Yeah, page not found. Yeah. Okay, so let's show you now. George II, second son. This is the Grand Master Mason, LOL, laugh out loud. Yeah, that's the lodge number. That was Airdrie, number 9. Okay, the Duke of York, painted by Sir Joshua Reynolds. That's a mafia family too, in the robes of the Order of the Garter. That's what everybody gets to steal. If you are joined their cabal, or you get knighted, or you're a massive dukedom, you get that. Okay, this one died at Rutland House in London. That may be related to John Patterson's Bank of England relative. Okay, he was born in St James's Palace, London. These are the Hanoverian kings and queens, yeah, that were the first customer for Rothschild. Yeah, and this one is the master of the Grand Lodge, and that is way back in that year that we told you about, on that tab on Airdrie. So I don't think I've highlighted anything. So he's the Prince Frederick, Duke of York and Albany, and that is the Alba joke for Pope Benedict. That is the naming of every one of the relatives and ancestors of King James I of Scotland, who's the lookalike for Richard Branson, and who was taken prisoner and kidnapped off the Bass Rock region. And all of those places that they're commemorizing in the family trees, and all of those images, are actually volcanic or seismic places. Yeah, they have huge quakes for our relatively safe island, and that is all across the Dumbarton Rock for the Lennoxes and the trees in there, and that is right next door to the Trident scandal that I was not allowed to talk about to Kenny McCaskill the other day. They would not ask me any questions in that session. He was the Justice Secretary who resigned just in time not to be pressed into confirming that I had revealed all of that and issued it to everyone from Salmond down to the lowly people like John Lamont, yeah, with the massive directorates and the massive fraudster who's an advisor on law to Scotland. And Deputy Justice Secretary Paul Wheelhouse was in command then as Deputy Justice Secretary. He confirmed receipt with Michael Matheson of all of my exposures of the Rothschild crimes in Lothian Road and all of the Trident scandal that the SNP now profess to hate. Yeah, the SNP tell you that they do not want a nuclear deterrent in our country, and they could have freed Scotland by releasing all of my information and the director numbers for the Eccleston Square led boardroom led by mercenary army leader Tim Spicer. Yeah. Right then, so this is the one who was the first citation in Airdrie as the boss at the Grand Lodge in Scotland after coming out of sectarian Ireland after the Irish triumphs there. Sorry, the Orange triumphs there. Same story all across England in those massive Cromwellian wars, yeah, where the kings get beheaded and dispossessed of their country, and then it goes right into Dutch hands. Orange Dutch hands. So this is blind Prince George's dad. Cheery looking guy, born Buckingham House, London, Buckingham Palace, gifted to the Windsors same year as they changed their name because they are genocidal. Ernest Augustus, King of Hanover. Yeah, so he's the major mason, yeah, in charge of the launch in Scotland and the transition out of Ireland. Ernestine and Albertine. Albert means Albrecht in German. Yeah, that's in the films about World War II and the attempts to assassinate Hitler Rothschild using the swastika, yeah, and all of the double agents that prevented Hitler's killing. Yeah, because they are also paid by Rothschild, who are paid by all sides in every conflict, and the Cassels were their first customers. Yeah, not many people know that they are the Kennedys now. Okay, so he was buried in Herrenhausen Gardens in Hanover, died 1851, aged 80. Some of the other family members died in London in their beds. Yeah, do you get it? Gifted the Saxe-Coburgs the Buckingham House, because he was the one that allowed Queen Victoria to have enough royal marks by marrying his grandson, who's blind, Prince George. Sorry, it may be his son, I'm not very sure. And let me see what else we've got. So this is Mecklenburg-Strelitz, his spouse is from, and his issue is George V of Hanover, and his father was George III, and his mum is Charlotte Mecklenburg-Strelitz, and in the George III the Mad King movie with the blue urine, because all of the bastards have got syphilis, yeah, she is Helen Mirren with her tits out, but not in that movie. She's lovely in that one. Okay, and his signature is Ernest. Okay, do you get it? Ernestine and Albertine, the joke that no one, yeah, in Salic law in Germany, no one who's female can be the queen, which is why they picked on Queen Victoria and made all of her children Rothschild bastards, except that first one with this man. He was the fifth son and eighth child of George III, who 11 years before Ernest's birth had inherited the thrones of two kingdoms, Great Britain and treasonous Ireland, and also that of the Electorate of Hanover, still part of the Holy Roman Biblical Fraud Empire. Right then, so this is his son, I think, and he gets blinded by the gods because it's all totally evil. I don't think I highlighted anything on this, but you can see why he was picked for his likeness to Albert. Yeah, you may not be able to see it in my safe house because I'm not allowed to have illumination. Yeah, okay. King of Hanover, reigned 1851 to 1866. Predecessor Ernest Augustus, the man you've just seen, the cheery looking cove. Yeah, all of them have got warmongering helmets on. All of them have got the same badges as the British police still wear, and the reason they have taken down the swastika badge is because that is all over the rewards for the earliest aviators, yeah, round about World War I, and when Hitler Rothschild used the swastika in World War II, the whole game is up by then, yeah, and all of it they cover up by using the Asian ancient history. The ancient history only takes you back to the 11th century. Yeah, the Christianity fraud is 1,000 years older than that. Okay, he was born in Berlin in Prussia. He died in Paris, France, like the abdicated king. All of them bastards. Yeah, and he's buried in Windsor Chapel. Do you get the irony of the Saxe-Coburg name all through World War I? Yeah, and the people that run it being out and out Nazis, and they're living in fucking London as the British aristocrats, because it's ever so useful to get people who can be the king of an English-speaking country, the queen of an English-speaking country, to be your husband if you're not allowed to have a queen in your own Germany. The Salic laws and the Saltire flag for Scotland. The pretenders that they will ever be in power. And when you see what is defending England in the form of Prince Charles and Camilla, it is totally twat-like, yet totally incapable of even making a rugby tackle. Yeah, that's why they sit on the horse and they play the polo. Yeah, just the icon for greatness. Okay, so this one, 1851 to 1866, he sired Marcus Manuel, the only legitimate child that Queen Victoria had, and then he lost his eyesight. Let me find out how he lost his eyesight. Style arms ancestor issue. Was born in Berlin, the only son of Ernest Augustus, Duke of Cumberland, yeah, but not of Teviotdale. That's only my research that has revealed that, and the Teviotdale secret is where their mansion was. Yeah, I believe it will probably be Michael Ancram's residence because of his links to the Germanic people that allowed us to go into the Boer War. I forget their name. Was it Montefiore? I don't think it was Montefiore. It was... Anyway, let's just see how this guy got blinded. George spent his childhood in Berlin and in Britain, losing the sight of one eye following a childhood accident and illness in 1828. In 1828, he lost the sight in the other eye in 1833. Yeah, he did not have to look at Victoria as he shagged her. Yeah, his uncle William IV created him a Knight of the Garter in 15 August 1835. His father had hoped that the young prince might marry his cousin Victoria, who was older by 3 days, thus keeping the British and Hanoverian thrones united. He did marry her. All of the rest of it was bigamous. Albert is just a cover and a lookalike for blind Prince George of Cumbria and Teviotdale. Do you get it now? Right then, I'm going to run out in a few minutes, but this is the Duke of Cumberland and Teviotdale, and that's the George III tab. So they've got the courage now to publish it since I exposed it, and that was uploaded by me on 17th of October 2016, and you now know the whole story. The monarch was George III. The first holder of this title was Prince Ernest Augustus, and the last holder was Prince Ernest Augustus II, and that is after one of the great conflicts. I can't remember whether they shut them down after World War I or World War II. And here's the Irish connection. Earl of Armagh, subsidiary titles, King of Hanover, 1837 to 1866. Do you get the Irish Freemasonic? Yeah, blast them to bits in the car bombs for decades as we rob the banks in the high street. We issue the pound, yeah, from our mints in Galway, and we then join the Eurozone so we can steal from all of those sectarian divided people that are prepared to kill their neighbours. And that untitled page is what you get when Ribbonism and it's the story of the 12th. The 12th is the glorious day, and they had to cheat. So that's what has been taken down with the stories on the swastika in the uploading onto this computer, so that I can make the video without any noise in my safe house. Okay, so do you get it? Earl of Armagh, laugh out loud. Yeah, the Rothschilds' earliest customers in Hesse Cassel, and that becomes Rudolf Hesse's links to the Hesses of Hamilton, yeah, and NHS Scotland that tried to section me before they rendered me homeless and addressless as a breach of the European constitutions on human rights. Yeah, I will come kicking back at them. John Lamont and all of the politicians who have refused me meetings know that, and they cannot now reply to me in writing because my wife has booted me out of the house by using forcible arrest, yet forced arrest against my will, yet using 4 coppers that all are given keys by my wife, who's from Chipping Norton and works for the Better Off Together movement as intel, yet from Marks and Spencer since she left school. Yeah, Chipping Norton through and through, where her brother has his third home. Yeah, Canary Wharf, and the other one is in the other one was in Duns Tew, which is sorry, it's in Dunstew still. It's worth nearly £1 million, and he is the employer of my wife, and he is privy now to all of the secrets that I've revealed to him on all of my lobbying lists, yeah, since the divorce case began. Yeah, as soon as I became an informed respondent with the politicians across this country, all of them start to try and have me banged up, and that's why NHS Hamilton still runs the and that's where my uncle Gilbert comes from. Yeah, he pretends that he was asset stripped by Deirdre Hutton at the Borders Council. He sells the falsified Church of Scotland fraud all over Africa, and he earns more doing that than I do as a pharmaceutical consultant and a professor of drug science. Yeah, and he brags about that, which is why I used to get the bottles of malt whisky every Christmas. He lives in Corstorphine on the west end of Edinburgh that projects right into the Morton homeland that I'm now in the safe house in. Yeah, Babin House, all the places along there, all of those massive mansions to the east of Murrayfield have been blown up and destroyed. And my granny died in one of them, which was converted into a hospital. Right then, so do you get it? The Earl of Armagh, the Duke of Cumberland and Teviotdale, and the King of Hanover from 1837 to 1866. Prince Charles, Lord of the Isles. Let's finish on that joke. Okay, there's his icon, the kind of nurse looking things. There's Police Scotland's logo. It can be in blue or black. This one's in green. I don't know the meaning of that. Arms of Prince Charles as used in Scotland. The galley in the second and third quarters represents the lordship of the Isles. Yeah, and we've had fabulous weather all over the Western Highlands last week, and I think it may be that the news is getting out that the ordinary people of those isles are entitled to the land that they live on, not the people who are the corrupted false kings and queens from that bastard bloodline that is Cassels Kennedy. MacDonalds have held title, but now Windsor, Saxe-Coburg, Hesse-Cassels stroke Kennedy have it all. Yeah, and he's up here in his tartan trews like the man with the eye patch. There is MacDonald, Lord of the Isles. These are the jokes about the folk on Skye running the clan registers in Scotland, and that is called the Vestarium, and that is the fairy castle, which is my wife's favourite joke. Yeah, that's the fairies, the goblins, the elves of elf oil. Yeah, that is the whole of the Christianity fraud, the whole of the World War complexes. Yeah, all of it is run by the same families in the same bloodlines as JFK, it would seem, but we're not allowed to see that bloodline. Yeah, for censorship reasons. Okay, and let me just show you. I was going to show you the swastika icons, but they've disabled me of doing that. Yeah, and that's the first time that that has ever happened with OneNote and my archiving that I use that system for. Okay, so MacDonald, Lord of the Isles, a Victorian illustrator's impression. Do you get it? Just total mafia operation. And that is the MacDonalds that were massacred at Glencoe, where Prince Philip's friend Jimmy Savile had a tiny little house, just so that they can make a mockery of the whole of British history. Yeah, that's why Commoner Kate was the prostitute that delivered her personal services to Prince William. Yeah, not the one who was the first employer of the Rothschilds in Frankfurt. In Hesse-Cassels. So let's just look at the pictures. There is the ruins of Finlagan Castle on Islay, where we have spent many's a holiday. Yeah, I was such a bimbo then. I spent the whole day entertaining my children, teaching them how to fish, how to swim, and just to enjoy the beautiful country that is Scotland. Totally despoiled by all of this stuff about false government and the legend that we have a democracy anywhere in the world. Yeah, so there's the legends that some are wanderer, some are led, the name given to the Vikings. He took the title Ra Ens Gal, King of the Hebrides, as well as King of Man. Yeah, that's the joke that worries me. That's the Isle of Man tax havens. Yeah, and the Isle of Man icon is on the Indie Camp flag collection.